Post for the one-year anniversary of launching here in Japan. I have a lot of friends who have contributed back at home, so I hope to make many more friends here who will be contributing to Huffington Post Japan. This discussion that you're having here tonight is just the kind of dialogue that Huffington Post is creating online, and it's wonderful for me to be taking part in this event. This is a critical time to be discussing the challenges of balancing work and family, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts and be part of the continuing conversation as Japan moves forward in this area. As the first woman to serve as the United States Ambassador to Japan, I know that I'm a symbol of change as well. The reception that I have received here and the eagerness of people of all ages and all levels of society, both men and women, to advance this issue has underscored for me the power and importance of individual action to bring about social change. And certainly social media has demonstrated that many times around the world. Japanese women have done it before as well. During the Meiji period and in the first decades of the 20th century, women fought hard for the right to vote, just like their British and American sisters. In the 1950s, Japanese nurses pressed to transform the way their work was seen in Japan. They wanted nursing to be respected as a serious profession, not just something women did for a few years before they got married. And thanks to their efforts, the proportion of married nurses rose from a mere 2% in 1958 to about 70% in the 1980s. In the United States, it was a Japanese-American woman, Patsy Takemoto Mink, who became the first Asian American and the first woman of color elected to Congress. She was the co-author and driving force behind the landmark legislation known as Title IX, which mandated that any institution receiving federal funds treat men and women equally. Later renamed the Patsy T. Mink Equal Opportunity in Education Act, Title IX opened up higher education and athletics to women, and it's transformed American society with its impact going well beyond sports and education. Women like these fought for us, and we can't let their efforts go to waste. Along with our own mothers and grandmothers and teachers, their example can inspire and guide us when we're struggling to succeed in a man's world, to balance work and family, to choose a career or just find a paying job, manage a household, raise young children, and care for aging parents. Those are challenges common to all women, and they can be especially difficult in a society like Japan with a long history of culturally defined gender roles. But Japan has proven over and over again that when a national consensus develops, rapid progress is possible. In so many ways, this is a defining moment for Japan. The U.S.-Japan alliance is strong and multifaceted. Both countries are fortunate to have leaders who are committed to women's economic empowerment. Prime Minister Abe has laid out an ambitious agenda in the security, energy, and economic arenas, and the economic empowerment of women is central to its success. Studies show that increasing the participation of women could boost GDP by as much as 14%. He's ignited a national debate. Government agencies and companies are responding, and progress is beginning to be made. I don't want to suggest that we have solved this problem in the United States, but like Japan, we also have a leader who gets it. President Obama is the son of a single mother who had to accept government assistance to feed her family for a period of time. He's the husband of a woman who grew up in one of the poorest, most dangerous neighborhoods in the United States and worked her way to Princeton and Harvard Law School because she believed in herself and in the American dream. In 2009, President Obama's first act as president was to sign the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, which empowers women to fight pay discrimination in the workplace. So in order to take advantage of this moment, we need to be honest about the obstacles that women face. And we also need to be honest about the fact that there are great differences in opportunity for educated women and women who have not received a college degree, as well as between married women and single mothers. Today we're talking primarily about empowerment for educated professional women with skills that are in high demand. But we should not forget that for many women, staying above poverty line is job number one. With almost 15% of children in Japan and 23% of American children growing up in poverty, that is a lot of desperate mothers. In the US, nearly 6 in 10 poor adults are women, and more than half of all poor children live in families headed by women. In Japan, the relative poverty rate is 16%, and child poverty in working single-parent households, usually headed by women, is 50%. The suffering of these families is all the more reason that those of us who are fortunate enough to have an education and a job need to redouble our commitment to women's empowerment. For educated working women, like those of us in this room, things are looking up. Women in both the US and Japan receive more than half the college degrees, and the jobs of the future need skilled and educated workers. As both economies transition from manufacturing to service, women's skills will be increasingly favored. In order to speed up the process, we need to ask what the most significant barriers to women's advancement are, and what can each sector of society do to address them. Government needs to work with business to ease the regulatory environment, promote flexibility in the workplace, and increase child care options. Large companies need to create the pipeline so that women can rise to the top over the course of their careers. Workplace accommodations for working mothers are urgently needed so that talented women are not forced out of their jobs when they start a family. Countless management studies show that companies with high-level participation by women are more profitable and better run, and that giving people more flexibility in their work schedule not only increases job satisfaction, it also increases productivity. In a 2011 study in the US by the Pew Research Center, 72% of women and men between the ages of 18 and 29 agreed that the best marriage is one in which husband and wife both work and take care of the house. I think the men were telling the truth. When husband and wife function as a team to work and raise their children, it creates a strong bond and mutual understanding. And for people who worry that working outside the home means that women have less time to raise their children, another Pew Research Center study released last year found that in the United States, the amount of time working parents spend with their children is also increasing. Fathers since 1965 have nearly tripled the time they spend with their kids, and surprisingly, today's American children spend more time with their mothers than they did in the 1960s. So we can't all be the first female prime minister or president or CEO, but we can all become architects of change in our own lives. And each time we stand up for ourselves, ask our husbands to pitch in and help us a little more, help a colleague at work who may have a sick child at home, convince a manager that doing a good job need not mean staying till 9 o'clock every single night, we change the world around us, and those tiny changes add up. They give us the confidence to continue and the courage to believe that we are part of something larger than ourselves. They give us the knowledge that our efforts will make it easier for our daughters to succeed and our sons to experience more of the joys of family life. They send out a ripple of hope which touches every life that we touch and is passed on to all the lives they touch in turn. So each act is magnified, and over time and across generations, we can transform the lives of people we will never even know. In the United States, we've made progress, but we still have a long way to go. In Japan, you are the generation that can change history. Not everyone is lucky enough to get that chance. Every single person in this room can play a role in bringing women more fully into leadership positions in this country in all fields. It's the right thing for Japan, for your family, and for your future. Thank you, and ganbatte.